Let's look at some sourcing techniques that you can use to get motivated sellers. First off, the key thing to be aware of, 90% of people at least are not motivated, okay? But the reality is there's lots of houses and there's lots of buildings in the UK. So with 10% of people potentially being motivated, and maybe smaller than that, there's still lots of deals for everyone out there. But it does take a mindset shift to realise that now that you're in sourcing mode, now that you're trying to be different to the masses, you're only going to find a small amount of deals that will work for you. And once you accept that and understand it, you'll be able to shift out a lot of the noise and the ones that don't meet your criteria quite easily. When I think of sourcing, I actually think of a funnel. And what I typically do is I'll apply lots of different techniques and strategies, and I'm aware that I'll only have success very limited in them, but I only need that one house to come out of the bottom of the funnel. So quite happy to try 10, 20 things, look at several items, but know that it's only going to be one house that I'm actually going to buy that will meet my criteria. Some of the techniques that I've used over the last couple of years to help me buy property from motivated sellers range from doing landlord letters. There's a lot of debate about how many of these are out there at the moment. The reality is I've bought a number of houses using them, and I've used it to buy houses that have been 3-bedroom minimos up to 19 bedrooms, a converted pub for a multi-let. Why are some existing landlords motivated to sell? There's lots of different reasons. Certainly the government changes in terms of legislation has made being a landlord less attractive to people. Also, for certain people, it is time to retire and they want to enjoy the wealth that they've created and come out of the market. For other people, they want to do a different strategy. That pub that I purchased that was 19 bedrooms, that was actually sourced by a gentleman who answered one of my landlord letters, who's in the top 100 rich list Sunday Times, and he got the letter. It was situational for him. He'd sold a large insurance business, and he had a number of private equity businesses that he did, one of them being student lettings, and he wanted to exit the market. Again, remember, we're going for the minority of people. Most landlords will rip up that letter and they'll throw it in the bin. It won't be of relevance to them. You're only looking to find the 1, 2, 3% that are motivated at that time, whether it's on price or whether it's on situation. Another source that I look for a motivated seller is auctions, but not actually in the auction room itself. I actually look at an auction and see what is not sold in the room. The reason for that is the person obviously put it in the room to get it sold, hasn't met a certain price that they want, all of a sudden they're now stuck. So automatically you can tell that they're motivated. That's not to say that every house that doesn't sell that you should buy, but again, if the house meets your criteria, you know that the seller is motivated. And I particularly like doing unsold at auctions because I also know that I can control the time period then, because typically the seller is going to want to still sell under auction time. However, if you do need a bit more time, you may find, because they are so motivated, that you can extend it. But from my perspective, it means I'm not bidding against anyone in the room, and I can also then close it in a fast time frame to get on with the development and get on with letting it out. Another area I like is actually other investors. And again, because they're in the same business that I'm in, they understand the realities of it, there's certainty, there's speed of it. How do you meet other investors? Lots of different ways. There's Facebook pages, there's networking events, but also I like to speak to letting agents, so people who just deal with lets. They've obviously got access to a number of landlords and investors, and they will know typically when those people will want to sell their houses, commercial entities, etc. And they've also got an interest that they'll want to make sure they keep hold of the stock so they can continue letting it out for them. So again, instead of me trying to identify 30, 40 investors, I can work with the letting agents that are well known in the area who already have that group of investors and talk to them and see if they've got any people who want to sell. Again, not everyone's going to be ideal, but the likelihood is you will find a small percentage that are, and we only need a small percentage to get this to work. Commercial agents can also be good to work with. The reason I say that is that they probably don't have the same amount of prevalence on the likes of Rightmove as what retail agents do. Also, a lot of the time when companies are selling buildings, there's not the same emotion related to it. Typically, when I look to convert from commercial to residential, there's an efficiency gain on it, there's a saving gain, so we can potentially compete on price with other just standard maybe commercial landlords. Social media is obviously another option that you can go to. So there seems to be a Facebook page for almost anything now. You look in your local area, you'll have Facebook pages for people who are looking to buy and who are looking to sell houses. Ultimately, you need to turn into a bit of a detective with this. Again, if it was that simple, everyone would be doing it. But if you kind of go into Google and you type houses for sale in the area, and then look at the websites typically that aren't Rightmove. So Rightmove is where the masses go. So these are just 5 little areas that I've touched on. There's a number of other areas that I also use, and I just work through them because, again, I'm not looking to buy hundreds of houses. Every couple of months I'm looking to go out and buy between 1 and 3, and I'll work through a number of sourcing strategies such as those above. I've written a small document that outlines the key sourcing strategies that I use. If you would like a copy of that full document, please message me and I'll send you a copy. Thanks for listening.